Hey guys, what's up? Mike Locke here. Thanks for tuning in to another video. Let's talk about the importance and the value of prototyping. I see new prototyping apps come up a lot. You know, while I'm looking at different articles, I just tend to see, wow, that's another prototyping app. Like that's another prototyping app. There are so many, and I'm not going to list them because there's so many out there, and they're all good, and they all serve the purpose of prototyping. And for those of you who don't know what prototyping is, for those of you who are new, because it is true, you could be a very good UI designer but not use prototyping in your workflow. That's been the case for me in several cases. Like when I worked at CBS, I did a lot of UI design work, but I did no prototyping work. We basically just, you know, designed all our screens, we put them up on a board, and we would tape them on the wall, and we would have stakeholder meetings around our screenshots, and we would that's how we would conduct our stakeholder meetings. Right now, today, it's at ADP, I do a lot of prototyping. Our stakeholder meetings are quite different. I'm in a boardroom, we have a big display, I'm working on that display, and I'm going through my prototypes. I'm clicking through my prototypes, showing them the different screens and the interactions. And it's much better that way because you get some context on how the screens link together and things like that. Basically, if you're new and you don't know what prototyping is, prototyping from a UI UX standpoint, like from a digital standpoint, is basically taking your screens, whether it's web-based, mobile, tablet, like your UI designs. Let's say you have 10 different states, 10 different screens, and just linking them up together, okay, and showing them in a clickable, interactive fashion. Okay, so a prototype could be web-based, where you can click, you know, you can all link them up, so certain sections of that image is clickable, and it clicks to the other page and things like that, right? And so you get some context. You have, you know, you can do that on a mobile device as well. You can click through, and basically prototyping, the importance of prototyping is done so that you and your product managers and your stakeholders can run through several different like task flows to make sure that you've accommodated all the different requirements that are needed in that application before you get to development. So prototyping should be quick, it should be efficient, it shouldn't be something that takes you long to do, it shouldn't be something that you have to code together. It should be, you do a lot of design work, then you prototype, and linking those screens up together should be a quick process, because the purpose is to quickly demonstrate the interactive screens, but not necessarily from a development standpoint. You don't want to code anything. You want to save development time. And that's the purpose of prototyping. It's really efficient. It really allows you and your team to understand the product, go through the product through different task flows and things like that, and then understand that you guys have everything, and then go to development. Okay, that's the purpose and the importance of prototyping. And it is amazingly how valuable it is. You know, when a lot of times right now in different companies, every company don't have a set standard on prototyping. So when I bring prototyping to my team, and they see it, they're like always amazed at, like, what did you do this in? You know, like, how did you do this? This is so much more efficient than what we used to do prior. And I do a lot of my prototyping, I do all my prototyping in Adobe Fireworks. That's why I love Adobe Fireworks. It's one of the best UI UX apps on the market today. But there are tons of different prototyping apps on the market. I'm not going to name them all. One particular app is called Envision App. It is a web-based product, and they specialize in prototyping. Basically, what they do is they cater to designers and teams that use Photoshop or Sketch within their workflow, because Photoshop and Sketch don't include any prototyping capabilities. And so what they do is they cater to those designers, and you can bring in your PSDs or your JPEGs or your PNGs, your PNGs. You can bring in your sketch files, and you can easily link them up. Okay, so if you use Sketch, if you use Adobe Photoshop in your workflow, you can use Envision App as a third-party product to integrate with to create your prototypes. Okay, and Envision App have so many cool features. I necessarily don't use it. Why? Because I've been using Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Fireworks now for the past 15 years, and it includes prototyping. Envision App is a nice app. You have to pay for it. So based on how many users or whatever, you have to pay like $25 a month to actually use it. So if you don't have any access to any prototyping app and you use Photoshop or Sketch in your workflow, check out Envision App, and also do a search for prototyping app. You'll find tons, and they all have similar prices, 19 bucks a month, $9 a month here and there, and they all allow you to do prototyping, basically bring in your JPEGs and whatnot and link them all up together. One thing to keep in mind, prototyping from a UX design standpoint is not necessarily good for when you're doing usability tests. Okay, we don't do prototyping for usability purposes. Why? Because when we're doing usability tests, users tend to, a prototype is like this. You basically take your screenshots and you have to create hotspots, different hotspots on your screenshot to actually link to the next page. When you're doing a usability test from a user, users tend to want to click around the page, around a real app, just before they kind of get familiar with the application. And because a prototype is not clickable in 90% of the space or the area, it will cause your usability test to just kind of go bad. So don't use prototyping as a usability thing. Use it for internal demoing purposes, okay, to move along the development process. So we only use it for demoing purposes, and for also, if we wanted to interview a client, we can show them through our prototypes, demo it ourselves to them, not necessarily have them control the mouse and click through it. So keep that in mind, okay? Prototypes is not necessarily for usability studies. It can be, but from a demoing purpose, you have to use it and demo it yourself, all right? The last thing I want to talk about is this. Add prototyping to your resume, okay? If prototyping is not a skill or somewhere featured on your LinkedIn account in terms of the things that you're capable of doing, add it. Because why? It's going to give you, as a UI, UX designer, it's going to give you value. As a hiring manager, if I'm seeing a designer that is featuring prototyping as a skill or something that person knows, now I'm aware that UI designer, that designer is focused or understands some of the UX design principles that are important in UI, UX design. That designer, to me, understands the importance of prototyping and how it could be efficient within a development process. And so if you have that on your resume, have that on your LinkedIn account, I think it will give you much more value as a UI designer, UI, UX designer, for the likes of recruiters and hiring managers and things like that, okay? Get familiar with it. If you don't, like I said, you could be in a situation where prototyping is not a key essential part of your workflow, and that is common, okay? What I suggest you do is take the time out to focus on some prototypes, create some prototypes, use these third-party apps, take a look at, if you want to learn how prototyping is done in Adobe Fireworks, take a look at my web design training course on my website at mlwebcode.com. I show you how I do that process, and start learning prototyping. Okay, just get familiar with it. Even though you may not use it every day, get familiar with it, add it to your resume as a skill set, just so that when you're going out there and looking for jobs, they understand that, especially in the UX design field, interaction design field, they want you to understand what prototyping is and how to go about doing those. So get familiar with those. Again, if you want to learn about how I prototype in Adobe Fireworks, check out my web design training course at my site. Hit me up with any questions you may have. If you like the things that I talk about, guys, please hit the like button and leave me a comment. Let me know if you do use prototyping today in your workflow and what product you've used to do your prototypes in. All right? Leave comments below. Hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and we'll be talking soon, guys. Look out for the next video. Peace.